Today I'm going to try and do some street photography with the Pentax 17. I've never shot with this thing before. This is going to be my first time shooting with it, but ever since it came out, I've just been curious about how well this could do for street photography. I mean, it's small, it's quiet, and best of all, it has zone focus. And I know it's half frame, but from what I've seen, the lens on this thing is amazingly sharp. It's really good. So if I use some fine grain film, I thought, some Delta 100, and use a fine grain developer, I want to try and push this thing to its limits, see how well it performs out on the street, and just have fun with it.
The zone focus system on this camera made it quite usable for street photography, allowing me to easily set the zone before taking a shot. Looking at the scans afterwards, my expectations from this lens were not overambitious. It didn't take long to remember the focal range for each zone on the lens, and they align well with typical distances that you'd use on the street. The 1.2 and 1.7 meter zones were probably the ones I used the most. The 17 captures in a vertical orientation by default. I mostly shoot horizontal frames on the street, which means rotating the camera 90 degrees. However, the camera is small and comfortable to use, especially with a wrist strap, so this wasn't much of a bother. At Burke Street, I ran into a fellow street photographer, Ruel. I'll put his Instagram page in the description so you can check it out. I mainly used the camera in program mode and tried to half press the shutter button just before taking most of the shots that you're seeing on this roll. The metering in program mode seems quite reliable, and it was great to have quick access to exposure compensation. When shooting scenes like this, I sometimes prefer metering for the highlights, so having that compensation dial makes this easy. I found the field of view from the Pentax 17 quite ideal for shooting and composing on the street. My favourite street lens on full frame is 35mm, so the adjustment was easy.
So one thing I'm noticing is I have to try and predict shots a little bit more and even maybe half press that button to get the focus ready once I pick a zone. And it just means that you have to accept that little bit of a slowdown. So obviously it's not as quick as shooting with something like my rangefinder, but I didn't go in expecting that. It is still fairly quick because you have the optical viewfinder and you can use those tricks like half pressing the button beforehand, predicting your focus zone. And so far it's pretty enjoyable, but I haven't seen the shots yet, so we'll wait and see. And naturally, it's pretty easy to blast through shots. I'm already up to 50 shots on this roll within a couple of hours. Because when you know it's a half frame, you know you have so many shots, you're more likely, at least I am, to just keep taking another one and another one. So it is nice to have that extra film economy when you are doing something like street, where you tend to want to take more shots. At least that's how I feel when I'm out shooting in the city. And I guess another bonus of this camera is that it's quite unintimidating, unobtrusive. It almost has a toy-like appearance, so maybe you don't get taken as seriously, which could be a good thing for street photography.
The day I shot this was the AFL Grand Final. There were plenty of people out in the city, although not as many as I expected. The next thing I tried was the built-in flash. It's probably not optimized for street photography and movement, but you can get some nice results. I took a few more shots in the city during a rainy day later on to finish the roll, which gave me 79 shots in total. As mentioned, I decided to develop it using a fine grain developer, so I made an order from Rewind Photo and decided to go with Ilford Perceptol, which gives fine grain and especially suits T-grain emulsions like Delta, I don't often use this kind of combo. I'd usually use HC110, Ilfotec HC, or Xtol, something like that. But when you want to maximize enlargement and scanning potential, using something like Perceptol can work quite well. So I digitized the film exactly as outlined in my recent half-frame scanning video guide. So if you want more information on that, use the card to check that video out and get more info on the scanning process. As you saw, the detail and resolution from half-frame can be quite impressive, especially with the Pentax 17, given its modern lens and engineering. And remember that half-frame has more depth of field for the same aperture relative to a full 35mm camera. So using medium speed films like Delta 100 can be quite suitable. The max shutter speed on the 17 also doesn't go that high, so this will also help prevent overexposure. So personally, I would go with films like Delta 100, Pan F50, Ektar 100, Pro Image, Rollei Super Pan 200, and so on. Basically, any fine-grained film is going to help you get the most out of the half-frame format. But anyway, looking at the detail and resolution in this print, I can't see any reason why anyone would avoid the Pentax 17 purely because it's half-frame. I even posted some of the shots from this roll on Instagram and asked people to guess which camera and film combo it was from. And no one actually guessed half frame. I had people guess that it was from my Leica or even a medium format camera. So overall, it was quite fun to finally try out the Pentax 17 and to use it out on the street. It did have some limitations, but I would do it again. And as a camera in general, I'm pretty impressed. So I'll summarize the video here and perhaps do a future live stream for my contact sheet series for this roll. In case anyone is interested in the shot breakdowns, a bit more on my experience, I can do that in a future stream. So let me know if you're interested. So anyway, thanks for watching this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you next time.